Hello everyone. Now let's see a simple chapter and a very interesting one. This is a very interesting chapter. Inspection, search, seizure and arrest. Very interesting. So starting with section 67, that is power of inspection, search and seizure. This is, you can say, similar, not exactly photocopy, but like section 132 of Income Tax Act. Do you remember? Search and seizure, section 132. So on the same lines, you have got section 67 in the GST. Let's see. Where the proper officer not below the rank of joint commissioner, means the person in charge has to be a joint commissioner or above joint commissioner, not below. Okay, not below the rank of joint commissioner. Has reasons to believe. Reasons to believe means he should have sufficient information in his hands on which he believes. He forms a belief that a taxable person has suppressed any transaction relating to supply of goods and or services. Suppressed. So first point is suppressed. Has suppressed any transaction means he has not recorded the transaction. Means black sale, supply which is not recorded in the books. Okay, no invoice is made. So suppression, first point. Suppressed any transaction relating to supply of goods or service, or the stock of goods in hand. He has suppressed the stock. So suppressed the transaction or suppressed the stock. Or has claimed input tax credit in excess of his entitlement under the Act. Means claiming wrong input tax credit. Second point. Claiming wrong input tax credit which he is not entitled to. Or has indulged in contravention of any of the provisions of this Act. So third point, contravention. Contravention of any provision of the Act or rules made thereunder to evade the payment of tax. The contravention should have the effect of tax evasion. Okay, so that is clause A. Second, any person engaged in the business of transporting, means the transporters, transporting what? Goods, or an owner of operator of warehouse, owner or operator of a warehouse where the goods are kept, or a godown, or any other place, is keeping goods which have escaped the payment of tax, or has kept his accounts of goods in such a manner as is likely to cause evasion of tax. So if you have a transporting business, you are transporting goods which you know that the goods are not tax paid goods. So you are helping the supplier in transporting the goods on which the tax has not been paid, basically. Or you are keeping the goods in your warehouse which are not duty paid goods, and you know that there is a tax evasion on these goods. Then in these cases what will happen? Let's see. He may authorize. He means who? The joint commissioner or the above rank officer may authorize in writing any other officer of central tax, means the below rank officers, to inspect any places of business, underline places of business, of the taxable person or the person engaged in the business of transporting, or the owner or operator of the warehouse or the godown. So this is inspection. First point is about inspection. So the joint commissioner will appoint the subordinate officers to go and inspect. Okay. Then subsection 2 says that where the proper officer not below the rank of joint commissioner, again, either pursuant to inspection means first he sends somebody for inspection, and when he receives the information of the inspection, he again forms a belief. What belief? He has reason to believe. So it says either pursuant to inspection or otherwise. It includes or otherwise also, means it may not be it is not necessary to first conduct inspection. If the officer, that is joint commissioner, has reasons to believe that the goods are liable to confiscation, even without inspection, he gets the solid reason to believe, then he can go to subsection 2 directly. So subsection 1 is not always a pre-necessary or a prerequisite for subsection 2. Okay, so you may come for inspection and then you can form a belief and go for seizure, or you can directly go for seizure. So what it says, has reason to believe that the goods liable to confiscation or any document or books or things which in his opinion should be useful for or relevant to proceeding under the Act are secreted in any place. Secreted means the person has hid the books of accounts and documents or the goods itself. Okay, there is a big underground tunnel, there is a godown in which the goods are stored without payment of tax, or the books are secreted. He may authorize in writing any other officer of central tax to search and seize. So search and seize, or himself search and seize. Himself search and seize such goods, documents, books or things. So normally he will call the subordinate officers and give them a direction, go, go and search and seize. Or if he doesn't have any subordinate officer at that point of time and he thinks that it is necessary so to do, he can search and seize himself. Then provided that where it is not practicable to seize, because there are tons and tons and tons of goods kept there in the underground bunker. Tons and tons of goods. Now, is it possible to seize? How much can he seize? He doesn't have the conveyances to even take the goods. So then what he'll do? The proper officer or any authorized by him may serve on the owner or the custodian of the goods or order that he shall not remove. An order that he shall not remove, part with, or otherwise deal with the goods except with the previous permission of the officer. Okay, so it is not possible to seize because of the volume of the goods. So then he will just give an order and then come back. Order is that you don't deal with these goods. Don't move them. Not even a single unit should be moved from here without my permission. Okay. So you cannot remove, you cannot part with, you cannot deal with it in any other manner. So the goods will be kept there, but a stay order will be put on that. Then provided further that the documents or the books or things so seized shall be retained by such officer only for so long as may be necessary for their examination and for inquiry or proceeding under this Act. Means till the time the recovery proceedings is going on, we will keep them. Once the proceedings have ended, the tax is recovered, we will release the goods as well as the books and etc. Then the documents, books or things referred to under 2 or any other document, books or things produced by the taxable person or any other person which have not been relied on, underline this point, for the issue of notice under the Act or the rules made thereunder, shall be returned to such person within a period of not exceeding 30 days of the issue of this said notice. So notice is of recovery notice, assessment notice. So suppose we have got various books. We have seized thousands of books from the assessee's place, and now we are relying on only 3 books out of them for issue of notice of payment of tax. So if only 3 books are relied on, then all the other books that are lying otherwise will be returned within 30 days period. Okay, because they are of no use. Then the officer authorized under subsection 2 shall have the power to seal or break open the door of any premises or break open any almirah, electronic devices, box, receptacle. Receptacle means any thing, any kind of a box in which goods are kept, in which any goods, accounts, registers or documents of the person are suspected to be concealed, where access to such premises, almirah, electronic device, box or receptacle is denied. Now obviously this is called as the power to break open. So he comes to your godown or your bunker and he asks you that give me the keys. I want to enter this bunker and see what is stored inside it. So if you give them the keys, then they will open it under normal course. But if you deny them the keys, then they will break open. They have the right to break open and enter and search. Then the person from whose custody any documents are seized under subsection 2 shall be entitled to make copies thereof. So if the books of accounts are seized, you can go and make copies because you want to know the balances and this and that. So you can take copies thereof or take extracts therefrom in the presence of the authorized officer at such place and time as the officer may indicate in this behalf, except where making such copies or taking extracts may in the opinion of the officer prejudicially affect the investigation. So if the officer feels that this information should not be given to you, then he can secret it. He may not give the copies, but otherwise you are entitled to obtain copies. Then the goods so seized under 2 shall be released on a provisional basis. Goods can be released on a provisional basis upon execution of a bond and furnishing of security in such manner and such quantum respectively as may be prescribed, or on payment of applicable tax, interest, penalty payable as the case may be. So in 2 scenarios the goods can be released. So the goods is confiscated first of all. Now if you come and ask for your goods, please give me back my goods. So you'll say, okay, pay the duty, pay the tax which is payable on its value. So if you pay the tax, interest, penalty, etc., then goods will be released. Or if you don't want to pay the tax, then at least file a bond with security. The value of the bond will be determined by the officer and told to you. Then where any goods seized under 2 and no notice in respect thereof is given within 6 months of the seizure of the goods shall be returned to the person from whose possession they were seized. Means department has to initiate action within 6 months. They have to initiate the action. Action means the assessment action, section 73 or 74 must be initiated within 6 months. If not, then the goods will have to be returned. Provided that the period of 6 months may on sufficient cause being shown be extended for a further period not exceeding 6 months. So extension can be granted by another 6 months. Then the government may having regard to the perishable or hazardous nature of any goods. Perishable means if the goods are perishable. Say the goods taken away from a premises are cakes and cookies. So cakes will have a life of maybe 2 days. Cookies can have a life of around 2-3 months. So what the subsection 8 says, that the government may having regard to perishable or hazardous nature of the goods. Hazardous nature means some kind of chemicals is there which is being seized, which is dangerous nature. Hazardous means dangerous nature, goods of danger. And perishable means, of course everyone knows, which are perishable like cakes and cookies and pastries. Okay. Then depreciation in value of the goods with the passage of time. So having regard to, this is the point, having regard to the perishable or hazardous nature of any goods, depreciation in the value, constraints of storage space. If the goods are something which cannot be stored easily, there is a constraint of storage space for the goods, or any other relevance consideration. By notification specify the goods or class of goods which shall as soon as may be after its seizure be disposed of by the proper officer in such manner as may be prescribed. So the rules are made for this. As may be prescribed means the rules. So government can make the rules and specify that in case of hazardous or perishable nature goods, they don't have to be retained for long. They can be disposed of immediately so that you get the full value. Otherwise what will happen? If the goods perishes, they lose their value. Then where any goods being goods specified under 8 have been seized by proper officer or any officer authorized by him under subsection 2, he shall prepare an inventory of such goods in such manner as may be prescribed. So first we'll make an inventory, the whole list of inventory of perishable goods and hazardous goods. Then the provisions of Code of Criminal Procedure 1973 relating to search and seizure shall so far as may be applied to search and seizure under this section. subject to modification that subsection 5 of 165 of the said code shall have effect as if the words magistrate, the word commissioner were substituted. So this whole procedure of search and seizure, the powers of the officers and all are governed by Code of Criminal Procedure 1973, which gives the complete powers and everything, which enlists the whole methodology of search and seizure. So that will apply here, mutatis mutandis, except that in Code of Criminal Procedure the power to issue search warrant is with the magistrate. So here it will be modified and read as commissioner. Means the power to issue search warrant is with the commissioner. Then where the officer has reason to believe that any person has evaded or is attempting to evade the payment of tax, he may, for reasons to be recorded in writing, seize the accounts, registers or documents of such person produced before him, and shall grant a receipt for the same, and shall retain the same for so long as may be necessary in connection with any proceeding under this act or the rules made thereunder for prosecution. Prosecution means for jail. So he'll keep your records till the time the prosecution is done. So that is a simple one. And 12 says that the commissioner or any officer authorized by him may cause purchase of any goods. Now this is an interesting one. 12. How will the commissioner come to know that you are going to evade payment of tax? See, in the whole section it is always mentioned the person is evaded tax or is attempting to evade tax. Now whether you are attempting or not, how can they judge? How can the commissioner judge that you are going to evade tax? If you have already evaded, that can be proved. But how can somebody say that you are going to evade tax? How will somebody say that you are going to kill me? You have not done it yet. So for that purpose, this subsection 12 says that the government will send some innocent people to your shop to purchase goods. And after purchasing goods, when you are going to make invoice and charge GST, they will say that, look sir, let's do it off the record. We don't want to pay GST, so you kindly give us an invoice without GST, or don't give the invoice, just take the money in cash and don't charge any GST. So they'll coerce you, they will try their best to get it done. Once you do it, they will find out that you are going to do it, and then they'll go back and they will know that you are going to evade tax, so they can come back with search warrant and all the troop to carry out the search. In the meantime, what is written here is that when the government wants to, this is the inquiry done by the government, they want to know whether you are going to avoid tax or not. So they will send these lame ducks who will come to your shop, purchase the goods, and then the government will cancel that purchase and you will have to refund the money, because that purchase was a dummy purchase, not a real purchase. So the purchase transaction will be cancelled and you have to return the money to the department. So that is given here, that the commissioner or the officer authorized by him may cause purchase of any goods or service or both by any person authorized by him from the business premises of any taxable person to check the issue of tax invoices or bill of supply by such taxable person, and on return of goods so purchased by such officer, such taxable person or any person in charge of the business premises shall refund the amount so paid towards the goods after cancelling any tax invoice or bill of supply issued earlier. So they have the right to cancel the tax invoice or bill of supply and return the goods. And then the corresponding rules are there. So let's see. Rule 139 says that where the officer not below the rank of joint commissioner. Now the words are almost repetition. Has reasons to believe that place of business or other place is visited by the for the purpose of inspection or search, or as the case may be seizure in accordance with provisions of 67, he shall issue an authorization in INS 1. This you have to remember. INS 1 is a form number. INS stands for inspection, so inspection 01. authorizing any other officer subordinate to him to conduct the inspection or search, or as the case may be, seizure of goods, documents, books, things liable to confiscation. And where any goods, documents or books or things are liable to seizure under subsection 2 of 67, the proper officer or any authorized officer shall make an order of seizure in INS 2. So INS 2 is the seizure form. Then proper officer or the authorized officer may entrust upon the owner or the custodian of goods from whose custody the goods or things are seized the custody of such goods or things for safe upkeep, and the said person shall not remove, part with, otherwise deal with the goods or things except with the previous permission of the officer. So this is the section we just saw. Then where it is not practicable to seize any goods, like I said, the volume is so high that it is not practicable to seize. The officer or the authorized officer may serve on the owner or the custodian of the goods an order of prohibition under INS 3 that he shall not remove, part with, or otherwise deal with the goods except with the previous approval of the officer. And the officer seizing the goods, documents, books or things shall prepare an inventory of such goods or documents or books or things containing inter alia the description, quantity or value, make, mark or model where applicable, and get it signed by the person from whom such goods or documents or books or things are seized. Simple. Then 140 is regarding the bond and security for release of goods. As we saw that you can file a bond and take back your goods. So this rule deals with that. It says the seized goods may be released on a provisional basis upon execution of a bond for the value of the goods and furnishing of a security in the form of a bank guarantee equivalent to the amount applicable, tax, interest, penalty payable. Simple. And in case the person to whom the goods were released provisionally fails to produce the goods at the appointed day and place indicated by the proper officer, the security shall be encashed and adjusted against the tax, interest and penalty. That is also simple. That if you run away with the goods, then you will be liable to pay. Then procedure in respect of seized goods. 141 rule. That where the goods or things are seized are perishable or hazardous in nature, and if the taxable person pays an amount equivalent to the market price of such goods or things, or the amount of tax, interest and penalty that is or may become payable by the person, whichever is lower, such goods or as the case may be the things shall be released forthwith by order in form INS 5 on proof of payment. Simple. You make the payment and the goods will be released. All simple points. And where the taxable person fails to pay the amount referred to under 1, if you fail to pay the tax, then what will happen? The commissioner may dispose of such goods or things, and the amount realized thereby shall be adjusted against the tax, interest, penalty or any other sum payable in respect of the goods or things. And lastly, the summary is given. Simple. Just go to that summary once. And then comes an interesting section, section 68, inspection of goods in movement. Now this section and the relevant rules we'll study in the next lecture, and they will be called as e-way bill. Okay, very famous nowadays, e-way bill. So we'll study in the next lecture what is e-way bill, how it is issued, when it is issued, who has to issue it, to whom it is to be given, and so on and so forth.